My foster family of 11 years is kicking me out by the end of the week. I have nowhere to go, and I feel broken. I, an 18-year-old male, was told earlier today that I need to pack up and leave by the end of the week. I still feel in shock. I was removed from my biological family when I was 7 due to issues with my parents. I was then placed in foster care and subsequently matched with a couple who I will call the Peters. It's not their real name. No matter how much I actually want to blast their real info, I won't. The Peters were always really nice to me. Since I moved in when I was pretty young, after a while, I started to consider them my parents. I called them mom and dad, treated them as my parents, and treated their biological son as my brother. I wasn't their only foster child. They also have a 9-year-old boy who has lived with us for a little over a year. I was never adopted by them. I know why. Because they live off the fostering allowance. This is something that never really bothered me. They told me that it didn't matter and that legality didn't make us a family, which I believed. I went on their agency website earlier today and found out that they are getting paid at least $2,400 for me per month, or at least they were. Since I turned 18, they stopped getting the allowance. However, they applied for a staying put arrangement for me, which meant they would continue getting paid something as they continued to support me and let me live with them. It wasn't as much. I think it was about $1,000 per month. They told me they had it approved until I was 21, so I thought I'd be able to stay at least until I finished university. They sat me down today and told me I had to leave. They told me that fostering is a business and that they couldn't afford to keep me on just the staying put arrangement allowance. They told me I had until the end of the week, for days. How generous of them. They said they need my room because they want to get a new foster placement. They literally told me, "It's not personal, like that makes me feel any better." They said they would still consider me like a son, not their son anymore, like a son, and that they want to keep in touch. What a joke. They choose to kick me out, an 18-year-old with no job, no income, no nothing, about to start university. Yet their bio son, who is 25, gets to stay. So yeah, I guess me, right? I'm just the one no one ever wanted. I guess I wasn't ever truly part of their family. Reading through comments online offered some perspectives and advice. One person suggested I contact the agency that was paying them, tell them what happened, and ask for referrals to organizations that could help with employment and university. They even thought reporting the Peters might make them ineligible for future placements, though perhaps unlikely. Another user strongly agreed with calling my former social worker or contacting Citizens Advice, highlighting that support is available for former foster children. However, they sadly noted that what the Peters were doing likely wasn't illegal or against fostering practices in England, as long as they stopped claiming the staying put money. They did add that, morally, the Peters were despicable. Someone else tried to console me by saying many biological parents also kick their kids out at 18, but honestly, that didn't really make me feel any better. Another commenter called them garbage people and suggested reporting them for fraud, assuming they might keep accepting money after I left. I doubted that. They'll probably cancel the staying put arrangement altogether, though I plan to check on that in a few weeks. One comment hit home, saying they were just doing it for the money and calling them horrid, greedy leeches. They hoped things would work out and noted that leaving, while difficult, would mean I wouldn't be surrounded by them anymore. I replied that I genuinely thought they were my family and was considering going no contact once I was settled. Someone else strongly encouraged going no contact, pointing out that since I came into their care at 7, they denied me the chance to find a family who would love me for me, not the dollars I brought in. I responded that I doubted anyone would have adopted me anyway. I wasn't a great kid back then, having more issues than a hospital, though I genuinely changed. I couldn't help but wonder if this was happening because of how I was as a young child. Another helpful comment asked if I had a care leaver's personal advisor and explained they should be supporting me with accommodation. They pointed out my foster family likely couldn't legally give just 4 days' notice and would typically need to give formal notice, usually about 4 weeks. They advised calling the Children's Services out-of-hours number because the personal advisor team, responsible for paying the staying put fees, would need to provide immediate support. I confirmed I had a meeting scheduled with my personal advisor later that day and planned to tell him about the verbal 4-day notice and my urgent need for help. Honestly, I didn't want to stay there anymore. The dynamic had completely changed, and none of them could even look me in the eye. But I wasn't going to make myself homeless. I would stay until I had accommodation. Someone else speculated that maybe the Peters relied on the money for rent and didn't have a choice, though they wouldn't act that way themselves. I clarified that the Peters owned their home and did some quick math based on the agency website, estimating from the minimum allowance of $2,400 per month for me before I turned 18, and likely the same for the 9-year-old boy, plus my $1,000 per month staying put order, they received roughly $4,800. Y. X. Minus X. $4,800 per year, largely tax minus free, compared to Thievage Post minus tax wage relief. $23,985. I felt they had enough. Okay, thank you guys for all your advice. Honestly, I was in a state of shock yesterday, and maybe still am today. I wasn't thinking straight. I only slept 2 hours last night, that's all, so I'm probably a little delirious today as well. Firstly, I have contacted my personal advisor. He'll be having an emergency meeting with me at 1:30, so I'll have more details about what's going to happen to me then. He'll hopefully be able to sort out emergency accommodation for me. Secondly, regarding those of you saying the Peters can't legally just give me 4 days notice to leave, I will definitely be mentioning this to my personal advisor and get his advice on it. I don't want to stay here any longer than I need to because since they told me, it's like I don't exist. They just look right through me. But I'm not going to move out until I have safe accommodation for myself. I will outright refuse. I am not going to be made homeless. Thirdly, those of you saying contact my university, I have an offer from them, but it's only conditional on getting my predicted A levels. Hopefully, I will, but since I'm not technically a student yet, I don't know if they will actually provide any support yet. Finally, I am also going to ensure that the staying put allowance stops. I will tell my personal advisor today that it should surely be stopped if I'm not living with them. Luckily, I have some money saved. Some people here have said I should be entitled to a bursary when I start university, and I'll have my maintenance student loan to help me. I've already started looking for a job. People wish me good luck and encouraged cutting ties, calling the Peters not good people. Okay, hi everyone. I just got home, and I'm feeling incredibly tired, so this is just going to be a short update. Basically, I had a big, long meeting with my personal advisor. He was very sympathetic and felt upset that the Peters are treating me this way. We had one meeting, and then I went to get food while he spoke to the Peters directly. Then I came back to meet him again to let me know everything that has happened. He's putting me on the list for social housing. I am hopeful that it will not be long until I am able to get my own house. I recorded the meeting because I'm so sleep deprived, and also I have really bad memory processing for long things like that because of my dyslexia, autism, or something, I'm not sure. I can listen to it again tomorrow after I've slept, but from what I gather, they will help me with paying for rent costs. I will also get some money to help pay for furniture and things like that. When he spoke to the Peters, I don't know if he said they had to keep me housed for a while or asked them to. I'm not sure, but they've agreed to keep housing me until the end of August. So at least I don't have to worry about everything happening in 3 days. He did tell me that if I feel uncomfortable, I can be moved into a youth hostel place while they wait for a property to be available for me. But I said if I can, I would rather stay with the Peters until I am ready to move, even if it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. He told me they will continue getting paid the staying put allowance until the day I officially move out, and then it will be stopped. On a completely separate note, my best friend and I had a huge argument earlier. He said that I'm being ungrateful, and honestly, what he said really hurt me. We had a huge argument. I just thought out of everyone. He would get me and understand what I was going through. Maybe not. Maybe I'm being unreasonable. I am really tired, so maybe my emotions are just not being controlled well at the moment. I am going to talk to him tomorrow after I've slept, and I'm hoping this argument will just blow over because I need him at the moment. I don't feel like I have anyone else. Oh, and I haven't read all the comments because I didn't expect to get so many. Thank you everyone who has offered support. It is genuinely so sweet, and I am so thankful. Someone commented telling me not to worry about my friend right now, as I'm in survival mode. Regarding my friend, he said I should be grateful that they kept me that long anyway, like I'm not a pet. He also said some other things, like how it's good that they're going to help another child like I was. Which is true, and I get that it's a good thing what they're doing to help people. But him saying those things makes me feel like I'm being crazy for wanting to stay like I was promised by them. Oh, I'm too tired, and maybe I'm being irrational. I'm going to talk again with him tomorrow and say I'm sorry. Long and unimportant rant. It never bothered me that they were paid to keep me before. Genuinely, it never bothered me at all. I always knew I was a foster child. I was about 15 when I learned that they were paid money to look after me, and I told myself it was a good thing, and it probably was. I have had loving parents for 11 years, which is more than some people can say. I just didn't ever think they'd make me move out when the payment stopped being as high. I found out that when I was still a child, they were paid $111.82 per day for me. That's $40,804 per year. I had never felt different to the family. I had always felt loved and secure. I don't understand why they have changed their minds about me. None of them will even look me in the eyes anymore. And it's gotten to the point where I can't leave my room anymore, because all I feel is the absence of the love that used to be there. I didn't come down for any meal times today, which was a rule you had to before. If I didn't go down before, I wouldn't have gotten any food. But Mom brought it up to my room and knocked on the door to say she was going to leave it there for me. I've replayed that moment 100 times over and over again in my head to try and convince myself that they still love me. I called her by her first name when I came home yesterday, not Mom. Claire. She looked upset when I did that, and a part of me is happy about that, and a part of me feels cruel for it. I knew it would hurt her, and I did it anyway. In some ways, I wish she wakes up to the pain she's causing me. I hope she takes it back and says that it is a lapse in judgment and that she loves me and wants me to stay. But if that were going to come, I think it would have already. I guess I'm not worth the 76 pounds per day they lose by not replacing me with another foster child. When I feel bad about hurting them, I remind myself they're kicking me out to get an extra 76 pounds a day. That's what I'm worth to them, 76 pounds per day. I don't expect anyone to read this or care, but I want to say thank you for the immense love you've all shown me. I feel nothing but gratitude to you all. Someone commented that maybe the lack of eye contact is due to their embarrassment, guilt, and shame, and hoped they could make amends. Another validated my feelings and suggested finding support groups for adoptees or care leavers. Okay, I am going to try and condense this as much as possible. Basically, I, an 18-year-old male, got removed from my bio family when I was 7. I got taken into foster care and was matched with a family called the Peters. I was then raised by the Peters for the remainder of my life, from 7 all the way until now. They had originally told me that I was able to live with them indefinitely, as I considered the Peters my family. They applied for a staying put order with me, which basically means they continued to get paid something like £250 per week by the government to recognize that they're continuing to support a former foster child, me, after my 18th birthday. As I said before, I was always told by the Peters I could stay as long as I needed to set myself up in life. Their bio son, who I considered my brother, is 25 and still lives with them. He doesn't work, but graduated university 2 years ago. I have a conditional offer at a local university where I'm planning to study classics with aspirations to become a teacher. I start in October if I get my predicted A levels, which I think I will. But the Peters told me that I had to leave by the end of the week because they wanted to get another foster child. This is something they really sprung on me, and it's been extremely difficult for me. I had to get in contact with my social worker, who spoke with the Peters, and now they're letting me stay until the end of August. But the whole family dynamic has changed. I explained all this to my best friend, and I said I was considering going no contact with them after I moved out. He ranted to me about how ungrateful I'm being to them and how they raised me for 11 years, and now they want to give that to another child in a position like I was. I get that, and that's part of the reason why I feel so guilty. My friend isn't speaking to me now, calling me selfish for wanting to stay with the Peters like I was promised, and for them trying to get rid of me with 4 days' notice. There were plans they could have taken to transition me into independent living before I turned 18, and they chose not to take part in them because they told me I could always stay with them. The one time of my life I needed my friend, he's gone too, and I feel so alone. I can't understand why he's taking their side over mine. I understand the argument that they will continue to help another child, but at the same time, I just wish they didn't have to throw me out to do so. When I suggested to my friend they could have asked their bio son to move out instead of me, he just said I'm being selfish. I still don't even know if I am going to go no contact with them. I just said I felt like doing it, and I wish I didn't even say that because I didn't expect it to cause such an argument. So am I the Online comments reassured me I wasn't the bad person and that my friend was wrong. They emphasized the Peters should have planned better, regardless of needing space for another child. Some suggested letting the university know about my situation. Another comment called the Peters out for using the system for money and betraying me, stating my friend's viewpoint was wrong. Someone shared a positive story about their cousin adopting foster kids because she wasn't in it for the money. I clarified again that the money itself never bothered me. I knew they were paid. What hurt was being kicked out for a difference of 70-something pounds a day. People affirmed I wasn't ungrateful. The exchange became purely transactional when they made it about money after I thought it was about care. The Peters' son, Jamie, has found my original Reddit post. I guess I should have been more careful with the details, but my mind was so frantic at the point of writing it. I just couldn't think straight. I'm not sure how he found it, but considering it has almost 10K upvotes and Jamie was the person who introduced me to Reddit, I guess it might have just popped up on his page. Does anyone know if it might have popped up for him because we're on the same network in the same location? A few hours ago, Jamie came to my room. He showed me the original post and asked if I had written it. At first, I tried to deny it, but I'm an awful liar, so he just knew. He asked why I didn't tell him about this, and I said I thought he knew. He told me he had no idea and would not have supported his parents throwing me out if he did. He was told I requested to move out. He genuinely seemed shocked and appalled at the details in the post. Against my wishes, he shared the post in the family group chat. He did this out of a place of wanting to defend me, writing something like, "Mom, Dad, I really think you should read this and see the impact this is having on OP's name," implied, but I really wish he didn't do it. They've both read the message, but neither have responded. I have not left my room since. I'm really anxious right now, like I'm at the level before a panic attack. I can feel one coming on. Commenters advised me to stay calm, affirming I did nothing wrong and warning the Peters might try to gaslight me or lie to Jamie. They were glad Jamie knew the truth and supported me, suggesting his previous avoidance might have stemmed from thinking I wanted to leave. They urged me to brace for the possibility the Peters wouldn't apologize and might get angry about airing dirty laundry. One detailed comment suggested Jamie was being a good brother and I should lean on him. It also criticized the Peters' handling of the situation, suggesting better ways they could have approached my transition to adulthood. It questioned why Jamie wasn't working 2 years post-university and advised asking my caseworker about training for foster parents on handling these transitions and noting the Peters' poor handling on their file. Regarding my friend, it suggested he lacked perspective due to his privilege and advised messaging him to try and reconcile gently. Another comment was addressed directly to the Peters, outlining how poorly they handled everything, from calling fostering a business to the cruel 4-day notice, and how it tainted their past relationship, urging them to be more empathetic or honest in the future. What I'm going to send in the family group chat. Is this a bad idea? To Matt and Claire. I came to you as a 7-year-old who had never felt love or affection or anything remotely nice. I was taught at a young age to fear those in authority, to fear the sudden changes in the moods of my birth parents. I was taught to bottle up my emotions and my pain and never show it. When I first came to you, my life was ruled by fear and anxiety. I know my behaviors back then were awful and were a struggle to manage. I'd been taught there were no consequences for some actions and firm, scary, and hard consequences for others. The worst part was that those actions never seemed to be consistent. I could do something one day and be praised by my birth family, and another day I would be beaten. Love was not something given. It was something earned. It was conditional and shallow. You both showed me another way. You showed me love and affection, and at first, it felt confusing and hard to comprehend. I couldn't see myself as anything more than a nuisance. I couldn't see why someone would love me. I couldn't understand why you weren't beating me. Do you remember me telling you, "You can hit me if I am naughty, I won't mind"? Slowly, you taught me to trust and love myself and those around me. You showed me that no matter what I did, you wouldn't give up on me. You wouldn't send me away or hate me. And I really tried to make you. I know that. I was scared. You made me realize that it wasn't my own fault I was in care and that I wasn't to blame for the things that happened to my birth family. You showed me appropriate outlets for my fears. You showed me love, compassion, and kindness. The first day I remember feeling truly safe was when I was sitting in your arms at 8 years old, watching Shrek. I still think back to that moment. It probably just felt like another day to you, but to me, it is a core memory in my life. It's a moment that shapes the way I see myself. You sat up with me when I was worried about moving up to secondary school. You comforted me when my birth mom told me she no longer wanted to be part of my life. You were there when my girlfriend broke up with me when I was 15 years old, and I felt like my whole world was ending again. You encouraged me to go beyond my studies and apply to university. The most important thing you showed me was that I was worthy of being loved and respected. You never gave up on me. I am who I am today because of what you did. I look at myself and I see compassion, care, and kindness, and in those traits, I see you. You weren't my birth family, but you were my family. My only family. I don't know what changed. Why has there been a switch? Why have you gone from the loving and caring parents you were? When I leave my room now, I no longer feel that love and kindness that brought me out of the pits of despair as a child. It's almost as if you have completely altered the way you see me, and I just can't understand why. A few days ago, you told me I had to move out. You gave me 4 days' notice to leave my family. You sent me back into feeling like that child at 7 years old. I'm not saying this to guilt you or to ask you to let me stay. That has passed now, and unfortunately, I don't think I'll ever be able to see you the same way again. I understand if you were hard on money, or if you wanted to help another child like me, but why not talk to me? Why spring it on me, and then act like I don't matter? Why tell me it's just business? Did you think that would make it hurt less? Since you told me, my whole life has been turned upside down, and I don't know how I will make it to the other side. If I had felt like this a few weeks ago, do you know who I would have gone to? I would have gone to you. I would have told you my worries and my fears, and you would have said the exact right thing. And then we'd sit together and watch some awful TV show. And now I have no one again. I feel like I'm being told for the second time in my life that I don't deserve a family, and this time I have no one to pick me up off the edge. That was always you, Mom and Dad. It was always you I could rely on. Why are you giving up on me now? I really feel like today the whole thing has just hit me in the face again. I think the emotions I was feeling were being blocked, and today they've been let out. I've done nothing but cry all day. Someone online encouraged me to send the message, let them know how they hurt me, and suggested leaving the group chat afterwards as they might try to justify themselves. The sad thing is, I don't think I even want that outcome of never contacting them again. I want them to love me again. I've contacted my personal assistant, and I'm moving out today. My personal assistant is allowing me to store my things I can't take with me in his garage. It's kind of him. He's found me a place at a local hostel. I'll get my own room apparently, which was a big deciding factor on if I wanted to move in or not. The hostel works with the local authority and houses a lot of care leavers, the English term for someone who has aged out of foster care, while they wait for their own houses. I haven't sent the message yet, but I know my foster brother Jamie has seen it. Yesterday, I felt overwhelming emotions. Today, I feel none. I don't know which is better. I'll send it once I'm moved out. I have a room, so I'll be gone in a few hours. I still haven't spoken to them, but I just can't face it anymore. I am sick of being anxious and stressed about this. I guess they did get their 4-day notice after all. Edit 1. I have just left the Peters house for the last time. The room is ready for me at the hostel. I feel so weird and sad and lonely right now. I've ordered myself a pizza to have for dinner today, and my PA even paid for it. I just want to get in bed and cry. My head is spinning thinking about everything I need to do. Wish me luck, everyone. Edit 2. I want to clarify something. I was hurt and in shock when I wrote my first post, but I want to make it understood that I was never eligible to be adopted. At first, the end goal for me was to reintegrate myself into my birth family. By the time we knew that was never going to happen, I wouldn't have accepted adoption as I wanted to keep my legal ties with my birth family. The Peters always told me it didn't matter that I didn't want to be adopted, and they loved me the same anyway. Maybe it wouldn't have changed anything, or maybe it would have. They were paid fortnightly for caring for me. They would get £165 and 48 pence per week. That's £8,604 and 96 pence per year they got just to raise me, which is about $10,959.77 using an approximate exchange rate. I keep thinking about that number. Was that all I was? I wonder what I would change if I could go back in time. Edit 3. I am settled in the hostel now. It's not exactly luxury, to say the least, but at least I'm here now. I sent the text message, very slightly altered from the one I wrote yesterday, and then I left the group chat. I also posted it on Facebook. That was probably the wrong thing to do. I don't know. This is going to be my final update on all of this. I want to put everything behind me. Claire rang me, crying, saying she had no idea I felt like this. How? How could she not know? She said she was sorry and begged me to come back. God, how do I ruin everything? She was telling me all these things about how she regrets the past few days so much and wishes she could take it all back. I said this is not fair. She cannot throw me out and then call me crying. I said it's manipulative. She just kept saying sorry. She said she loves me and wants me to come home. Jesus, this is just a lie, right? She must have known. Am I the bad person here? I feel so confused. I don't know what to do. I just hung up, and then she started texting me, and I blocked her. But now I feel like I'm the bad person here. I'm so tired of this, of all of this. I want nothing to do with any of them. I don't think Reddit is good for me. I'm not sure any of this is good for me. I'm going to delete the app. Sorry, everyone. People continued to offer support in the comments, expressing sorrow for my situation and wishing me success. I briefly considered contacting my bio mom, but decided against seeking potentially more rejection. Someone asked if the Peters would face consequences, but I doubted it, thinking my PA wasn't shocked and my foster parents likely framed it as a mutual falling out, despite my clarity that it wasn't from my perspective.